How do you end an episode like that? Oh my god! I can't believe I have to wait a whole nother week to find out what's going to happen next. Oh man. That sucks. Okay, that really sucks. I was so upset when this episode ended, guys. I could have cried, okay? I really could have. Hey there, guys, what's up? It's Autobot Mike 18 here with another review of the newest episode of Breaking Bad, guys. Guys, it is Breaking Bad Sunday. That's the hashtag I've been seeing all over Twitter. I love Breaking Bad Sunday, guys. As we all know, this is the final episodes of Breaking Bad. I am doing reviews for these episodes, the final episodes, guys, because I am a huge fan of the show. I caught up all summer long on the whole show, and now I'm watching the final episodes. I'm so into it. I can't wait to see how it all ends. There are only 3, that's right, guys, 3 episodes left until the end of Breaking Bad. We just watched I just watched tonight's episode. We got 3 more left. That's right. Unfortunately, Breaking Bad ends in 3 weeks, which really sucks. So, guys, tonight I will be talking about episode 13. The episode... Hold on, I gotta read this. I have trouble pronouncing the name of this episode. It's called Tohajili. So that is the name of tonight's episode. Kind of a weird name, but that's actually a location in the episode. So that's why that's the name of it. It's actually a very crucial location. So, guys, I'm going to review the episode entirely. If you did not watch tonight's episode, which was absolutely fantastic, I highly recommend that you do not watch this video because there will be spoilers throughout the whole entire thing. I can't do a review without spoiling the whole episode. I'm going to talk about everything that happened in the episode. I'm going to talk about what I loved about this episode towards the end. I'm also going to give my predictions for next week at the end of the review. But as I said, guys, there's going to be spoilers. This is a spoiler-heavy review. So if you didn't watch the episode, don't watch this video. Go watch the episode, then come back and watch my review of it. That would be awesome, guys. So, guys, I got a lot of things to talk about tonight. Let's get right into it. The show is heating up, guys, with tonight's final scene. That final moment in the desert just blew me away and really at the same time pissed me off. It pissed me off the way they ended the episode because I have to wait a whole nother week to find out what happens. But anyway, guys, I'll get to the ending scene a little bit later on. Right now, I'm going to start the review I'm going to review the episode from the beginning on. So, literally, guys, the episode opens with Todd, his uncle, and this other guy. They're finishing up a cook. Todd finished up a cook, and Lydia is also present to see how Todd's doing. Todd finishes up a batch of meth, and he shows Lydia, and she's actually a little upset because Todd is obviously, as we all know, he's no Heisenberg. And as we all know, Walt quit the business. He's no longer cooking meth for Lydia. So Lydia needs someone because she's got to send all this meth out to the Czech Republic. So Todd is cooking up a batch, and his batch is kind of a failure. It's like 70-something% purity, and it's not even blue. It's not the blue meth that Lydia wants. So she tells Todd, listen, you got to make me this blue meth. That's what they love out there in the Czech Republic or whatever. And so Lydia leaves. Todd realizes he's got to do a better job cooking. I mean, Meth Damon, that's his nickname. Everyone calls Todd Meth Damon because he looks like Matt Damon. Meth Damon is no Heisenberg for sure, but Todd's got to find a way to cook better. So, at the next point in this scene, Todd gets a phone call from Walt, and this was the ending scene of last week's episode. As we all know, in the end of last week's episode, Walt called Todd, told him he had another job for his uncle, and they cut the episode off at that. And we also know that Jesse was going to meet Walt at the plaza. He did not fulfill his promise to Walt. He left. He called Walt and told him he's coming after him, which is why Walt called Todd and told Todd, I have another job for your uncle. And so that's why we all believe at this point Walt is planning on killing Jesse. And that is exactly true. In this episode, Walt tells Todd that he needs him and his uncle to do one final job, a one-man job, and that is to kill Jesse Pinkman. And that's how they end it. They literally go to the main theme of the episode. Then the show cuts to commercial, and we have the next scene. So like I said, this week's episode is a direct continuation of last week's. Hank, Gomez, and Jesse all meet under this underpass, right? Right after their little stakeout at the plaza. And Jesse tells Gomez that and Hank that he has a plan, another way to get Walt. And this involves getting the physical evidence that Hank and Gomez need. And that physical evidence is Walt's money. Jesse tells them if they get Walt's money, that's the physical evidence they need. That is the evidence they can use to put Walt away in jail. And Hank will get Walt. And so they agree to work with Jesse to get to find Walt's money, but the problem is they don't know where it is. So they have to literally go through several things to find out where Walt's money is, and so that is their mission in this episode. So Hank and Gomez go over to Huell's place because Jesse tells them apparently that a way to find this money is Saul's henchman Huell. So they go over to they go over to Huell's house. And they tell Huell that he's in danger, that Walt is probably coming after him. They show him a picture of a fake picture of Jesse dead, that Walt shot him in the head, and they literally have like a thing of guts on the floor. You know, it's like fake meat. You know, it's fake guts. It's like, you know, raw meat on the floor. It looks like Jesse got shot in the head. So this panics Huell. And Hank and Gomez are lying, and they're telling Huell that Walt is going on a rampage, and he's going to go after Huell. But the thing they need from Huell is to find out what Walt did with his money. So Huell tells them that Walt, he had Huell and that other guy, Kubley, get his money, put it all in the barrels, and they put it in the van. They gave it to Walt, and Walt drove off. But Huell does not know exactly where Walt took the money. So that's all Hank and Gomez needed. They just needed to know what Walt did with the money. They don't know where it is yet, but they know what Walt did with it. They know he took it somewhere. So they leave Huell's house. They tell him to shut his phone off and not to leave his house, and that's how that ends. So they're like getting really close to finding Walt's money at this point, because they got Huell to squeal by making up that lie. Now, one of the next scenes, Walt goes over to meet with Todd and his uncle, telling them about this job that he has for them to kill Jesse. Now, we could tell that Walt still does care about Jesse, even though Jesse is a threat, and he has to get rid of him, because Jesse's a big threat. He wants to go after Walt, because of that phone call in the last episode. So Walt tells Todd and his uncle and their men that he wants Jesse's death to be as quick and painless as possible. He doesn't want Jesse to feel anything. He just wants it to be quick. He's just got to get rid of Jesse. He's got to get rid of Jesse because Jesse is a threat. So they agree to do the job. They will kill Jesse. It's a one-man murder. They just have to kill Jesse. But they don't want Walt's money. They tell Walt that they want him to cook for them again, maybe a couple times, to show Todd again how to get the hang of it, because as we all know, Todd isn't doing as good a job as he should be. So Walt is hesitant at this point. He's reluctant. He does not want to cook again. He left that business. He doesn't want to cook anymore. So he finally agrees to them. He agrees to it. He tells them, "Okay, I will cook once after you kill Jesse." So they say fine, but the problem is no one knows where Jesse is. Even Walt still does not know where Jesse is. So Walt develops an idea to get Jesse out into the open where they can kill him. So in the next scene, Walt goes over to Andrea and Brock's house. You know, that girl and the kid that were really close with Jesse. Walt ended up poisoning Brock. We all know this, with the Lily of the Valley. And he goes over to Andrea's house and tells her that he needs to get hold of Jesse. They had an argument. He tells Andrea that he's really concerned for Jesse, and that he hasn't answering his calls, Walt's calls. He needs Andrea's help. So Andrea calls Jesse up, tells him that Walt is worried about him, and she tells Jesse to call him back. She gets Jesse's voicemail. So Walt is very grateful for this. He leaves Andrea's house. He goes into his car, which is parked on the street, and we see him call Todd's uncle and that other guy. They are also parked in a car outside Andrea's house. He tells them that the plan is set. Jesse should possibly be heading over to Andrea's house soon, and that they can get ready to kill Jesse, but they have to do it in a very quick and painless way. So they have to literally wait for Jesse to show up at Andrea's house, and they're going to kill him. They're going to take him away and kill him in a very quick and painless way. So Walt's part in that is done for the most part. So we're wondering, is Jesse actually going to get that voicemail? Because that'll piss him off. He went over to Andrea and Brock's house, so that'll honestly piss Jesse off. But the person who gets that message on Jesse's phone is Hank. Because as we all know, Hank took Jesse's phone a couple episodes back, I believe, when... actually, last episode, I think, he took Jesse's phone when Jesse was working with Hank. That Hello Kitty phone, it's actually one of Saul's phones. And Hank listens to the message. I assume he deleted it, and he says out loud, "Nice try, asshole." So, Walt's plan is foiled at this point. Hank realizes that Walt was just trying to get Jesse out in the open so he can kill him, and Walt obviously doesn't know that Hank is working with Jesse and that Hank got the message and Jesse didn't get it. So Hank goes into his house. Jesse and Gomez are still there, and he tells them that he found out that Walt buried the money, because they're still trying to find Walt's money. So they just need to get Walt to show them where the money is without Walt knowing. So I'm going to elaborate on that in a second. One of the next scenes, Saul comes to the car wash. Skylar and Walter Jr. are at the car wash. Walt is also there. Walt talks with Saul. Saul's wearing like a bulletproof vest, and he's completely paranoid. He tells Walt that Huel has gone missing. He's not answering his calls or anything like that. He's really paranoid. And he thinks that Jesse killed Huel, but Walt says, no, Saul, don't worry. Jesse did not do that. He just wants me. So Saul leaves, and Walt is just staring out the window of his car wash. Nothing's happening. The mood is very, very quiet, and we could tell something intense is going to happen. This was by far the most intense part of the episode. At this point, Walt gets a call on his phone, and it's Jesse. So we're like, oh, crap, what is Jesse going to do now? Jesse calls Walt and sends him a picture of supposedly one of Walt's barrels of money, and the lid is open, the money's in the barrel, and it looks like it's kind of like buried in the sand. So Walt freaks out at this point, realizing that Jesse must have found his money, and Jesse threatens Walt and tells him, "You better get out into the desert where you buried your money, or else I'm going to literally start to burn every single dollar here." So Walt is beyond freaked out. He races into his car. He leaves the car wash. He is like going through every single red light. He is talking to Jesse on the phone. Jesse tells him, "Do not hang up on me or I will burn it all." And oh my god, at this point Jesse finally begins saying bitch again. He says it like several times, which I was like, yes, thank you writers, thank you for making Jesse say bitch again. Anyway, Walt is racing into the spot in the desert to get to his money before Jesse burns it all, and he's frantically telling Jesse, "Please don't do this, Jesse. I didn't mean to poison Brock. I had to do it so you can help me kill Gus." And he makes a couple of confessions also on the phone. And he gets to the spot in the desert. He's looking around for Jesse. He sees Jesse isn't there. At this point, Walt realizes it was all a setup, and we realize that Jesse, Hank, and Gomez do not know where Walt's money is, but Jesse called Walt. They are tracking Walt's phone, so now they know where Walt is, because Walt was on his phone, and they are going to arrive at that spot in the desert because that's where his money is. Walt went to the place where his money is because Jesse told him to go there. Jesse didn't know where it was. They played Walt, and they got him. And Walt realizes this, and he's like, holy shit, they got me. And he's pissed. He takes the battery out of his phone, and he kicks it in the sand. He realizes that they got him, that Jesse got him. He still doesn't know that Hank is working with Jesse. So, Walt realizes that Jesse is probably going to show up there at some point. So he puts his phone back together. He calls up Todd and his uncle and tells them to get over to the spot in the desert. He gives them the coordinates and tells them to get over there and do the job. That's where Jesse will be. So they are about ready to go over there until two cars pull up into that spot in the desert, and Walt sees the two cars, and he sees Jesse, Hank, and Gomez get out of the cars, and he realizes, holy crap, Jesse was working with Hank and Gomez. So he literally, as soon as he sees Hank, he calls off the attack on Jesse. He tells Todd and his men, and Todd, his uncle, and their men, do not come to the spot in the desert. He tells them the job is off, do not go to the spot in the desert. However, Todd's uncle wrote the coordinates down on his hand. So they left us hanging. Are they going to come to the desert or not? Meanwhile, Hank and Gomez come out of their cars. They got guns. They begin yelling out. Well, Hank begins yelling out for Walt, yelling to him, "Walt, give it up. We got you. This is it for you. Give yourself in." And Walt is literally hiding behind a rock. They don't see him, and he literally, like, you see a tear shed down his eye. And I'm like, holy crap, they got him. They fooled the wise and really intelligent Heisenberg. They got him. And you're like, how the hell is he going to get out of this situation? How is Walt going to get out of this? He is going to need the best amount of luck to get out of this situation. He has a 38 snub, but he's not going to shoot Hank and Gomez and Jesse. He wouldn't do that. Maybe he would go after Jesse, but not Hank. Hank is still family. So the episode goes to commercial, and literally this is the most intense part of the episode. It's the final scene. Right after the commercial, the episode comes back on. Hank and Gomez are still looking for Walt. Walt left his car right in the middle of the desert, right in the spot, near the spot where he buried his money. The money's somewhere out there. And Walt literally comes out with a gun in his hand and his hands up. And we're like, holy shit, he's going to give himself in. And a part of me felt that he had some trick up his sleeve. I really sincerely felt that he had some trick up his sleeve. That he was going to do something that, I don't know, something was going to happen. I was telling myself there's no way they're going to arrest him. No way this is going to happen. So Hank orders him to slowly walk over, and he does. I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. This whole episode was intense as hell, by the way, guys. From this point on, holy crap, this was so intense. Walt is walking over with his hands up. He literally walks over to Hank, and he puts his hands on his head. He bends down, and they cuff him. They handcuff Walt. Jesse is like kind of pleased at this point. He's also shocked to see Walt actually, handcuffed. And I'm like, oh my god, they got him. And they read him his Miranda rights, and Walt really isn't saying. Walt isn't saying anything. He just looks over at Jesse, calls him a coward. Jesse spits in his face. We all know that their relationship is over. They're both enemies as of right now. And Walt's done. They arrested him. They have the spot where he buried his money. Now, they still don't know exactly. They have the location where he buried his money, but they don't know exactly the exact spot where it is. They just have to, send a lot of search parties out there. Eventually, they will find it. It's in that location. They just, they know the location. They don't know the exact spot, but they know the location. So, Hank puts Walt into his car. Handcuffed. Walt he's not saying anything. Gomez orders Jesse to get into the other car, the second car, because, Walt and Jesse charged each other because Jesse spit on Walt's face, and Walt's just sitting in the car. Hank pulls out his phone, calls Marie, and tells her he got Walt. He is so pleased. He's like shocked that this day actually came, and Marie is so happy. She's shocked, and he tells her that he loves her. And then they end that conversation. And I'm like, something's got to be happening here. I mean, there's just so much buildup. Something intense is going to happen here. I didn't know what it was going to be, but I knew something big was going to happen. So Walt is in the car. Jesse's in the second car. Hank and Gomez are ready to leave. 2 cars pull into that location in the desert. And we're like, holy crap, it's Todd, his uncle, and his men, and they're probably packing heat at this point. They probably have all their weapons. They didn't listen to Walt. They're here to do that job to kill Jesse. And we're like, oh my god, what is going to happen next? I was so shocked. I was speechless. I really was. So Hank and Gomez get a little suspicious. They're shocked that these 2 cars are just pulling into the desert. They don't know who they are. And Todd, his uncle, and their men, they get out of their cars. They got all their weapons. This one guy's got like an AA-12. And Hank and Gomez are freaked out. They hold up their guns, and there's this huge standoff. Hank and Gomez have their guns pointed and aimed at Todd, his uncle, and his men. And Todd, his uncle, and their men, they have their guns pointed and aimed at Hank. And Walt sees this all in the car, and he's yelling literally from inside the car with his hands, his hands cuffed. And he tells them, he's yelling, Jack, I said don't do this. The attack is done. The job is over. I don't want you to do this. Stop this right now. Literally, what's his name, Todd and Jack. They are, Todd's uncle, and they ask Hank and Gomez for proof that they're police officers, because Hank and Gomez both announced they were cops. They're DEA, but you know what I mean. There's just this really intense moment. We don't know if anyone's gonna fire, who's gonna get killed, or Hank and Gomez both gonna get killed, and Todd, his uncle, and their men, they literally open fire. Hank and Gomez rush to cover to that car that Walt is locked up in. Walt's, he's cuffed in that car, and they literally get to cover, and a huge, massive gunfight erupts. Jesse's watching this from another car. He's freaking out too. Walt literally ducks down in the car, and Hank and Gomez get to cover. At one point, I thought I saw Gomez get shot, but he didn't. He was just ducking down behind cover, and they both they're both firing it. All sides are firing each other, and then the worst possible thing you could ever think would happen on Breaking Bad actually happens. The episode ends. The episode ends in mid-gunfight. I was so upset. That has to be one of the most upsetting endings for Breaking Bad. It's so ironic how I was so into that scene, but I was so upset the way they ended it like that. I mean, come on, that sucks. We have to wait a whole week to see who gets shot, if anyone dies, does anyone get killed, does anyone make it out alive? We all know Walt makes it out alive of that, because Walt is going to be 52. But that's how they ended the episode, guys. Oh my god, guys, I loved almost every single second of this episode. I don't know what episode is better, this episode or episode 11, Confessions. This might have been the best one of the final episode so far. I loved almost every second of it, guys. Just the music as Walt is driving into the desert, it's getting so intense. My heart was beating so fast in the final scene in the desert. I was just amazed, guys. So I'm going to give my rating real quick, guys. A couple other things I liked about the episode and my predictions for next week. And I'm going to cut the video off, guys. I got to go watch Talking Bad real quick. And then I got to do a couple other things. But anyway, guys, I'm going to give this episode of Breaking Bad... I thought about this. I'm going to give this episode a 10. Screw it, okay? I was probably thinking 9.5. Screw it. I'm going with a 10. This episode has to be one of the most intense episodes of Breaking Bad I've ever watched. It was just so... I loved almost every second of it, guys. It was just so well written. And it's killing me. Are Hank and Gomez both going to get killed? Is anyone on Todd's side going to get killed? I mean, it's crazy. So a couple things I liked about the episode, guys. Hank's plan to get Walt, Hank, Gomez, and Jesse's plan to get Walt's money was genius. How they used Huel like that was awesome. Like I said, the music was so good. Dave Porter, I think he does the score. That was excellent. I mean, the writing is honestly one of the best parts of this whole episode. I mean, it was unbelievable how Todd, his uncle, and his men met up with Hank and Gomez, and that shootout just erupted. That was probably one of the craziest shootouts of Breaking Bad ever, and it sucks the way they ended. I'm really upset about that. The way they've been ending these Breaking Bad episodes recently, it sucks, because you're so into what's going on, and then they just cut it off like that, and you're like, oh, come on. So anyway, guys, yeah, I loved everything about this episode. What's not to love? It was so awesome. The promo, by the way, showed nothing new for next week's episode, so I'm literally sitting, I'm going to be wondering, I'm going to be scratching my head all week what the hell is going to happen. So I loved it, guys. It was awesome. Probably the best episode of the final episode so far, or the second half of season 5. It was awesome. It really was. And I can't wait to see what happens to these characters. So, guys, it's prediction time. Real quick, I'm going to make a couple of predictions. I know the video is so long as it is, guys, but I'm going to give a couple thoughts on who is going to die next week, who's going to get killed, who's going to make it out alive. I seriously think, guys, this is my number one prediction for next week. I seriously believe that either Hank or Gomez or both are going to get killed next week. And I'll tell you why. I especially believe Hank is going to get killed, and I'll tell you why especially. Hank called Marie, told her he loves her, and, that was just a really touching moment. It was a really happy moment. I said to myself, that's going to be the last time Marie sees Hank. I have that feeling Hank is not going to make it out of that shootout. I have a feeling that both of them might be killed. Actually, Gomez and Hank. Because, if that happens, then Walt can get away easily. Walt will easily get away from this situation. He is handcuffed, but if they are both killed, then that's it. They lose Walt. They're dead, and they're the only two, and Jesse, that know about everything Walt's done. The rest of the DEA doesn't know about all this yet. So I seriously think that Hank or Gomez are going to die next week in the shootout. I do not think anyone from Todd and his uncle's side, I don't think any of them are going to die. I do not think Jesse's going to get shot, and obviously Walt makes it out alive. I don't know any other predictions that I can think of, guys. I mean, I don't know what can happen next. Things are getting so crazy on the show. Three episodes left, guys. It is so crazy how this is all ending. I am so into this show, guys. Oh my god, I can't wait to see how this show ends, but it's so unfortunate that it is ending. So, guys, let me know down below in the comments. I want to know your feedback of this episode, guys. What did you think of Breaking Bad, Season 5, Episode 13, Tohijali? What did you think of the episode, guys? Did you think it was intense? Were you pissed how they ended it, the way they ended it? So let me know, guys, down below in the comments. Thank you, as always, for watching, and stay tuned for my final 3 episode reviews for the final episodes of Breaking Bad. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Bye.